truly every day after work, because we would develop photos that he had taken on set that day. We would talk about it. And I was like, how was it? He watched The Russians. What do you think? He's like, this is a disaster. Every single day. I was like, that's what I thought. Okay, good. After Poor Things. This one, it was like free and happy and like, everyone's going to love this. They're really going to get this one. This is it. The moment of truth.
We have a great relationship.
We're doing great. We just love working together, and it was a lot of fun. It was cool to do a modern day kind of like piece. The first time we've worked in America together, and it's cool with Anthimos and
going back to some of the old stuff.
Some of the old stuff, kind of a little bit of a throwback,
like
but
simple,
evolved a bit. Yeah,
our relationship evolves over time.
Totally.
Yeah. Anything else?
We've never done press together ever, so we're just learning.
You have a double act by now, basically.
Yeah, we do have a little bit of a double act going on.
Yeah. Your jacket reminds me, the colors are very nice. The colors in the movie, I think, are quite notable.
It's significant, but it's not necessarily designed, way beforehand or with the stories or the characters. I think there's a process of discovering them. For example, like the purple car was something that I discovered while I was scouting for locations. And it wasn't even in the script that she would drive like that or that she would have this kind of car. I just saw this car and I snapped a picture and sent it to her and I said, like, I think Emily's driving this car. And, then, Jennifer, the costume designer, comes in and goes like, oh, that's an amazing color, and starts to riff off of that. And then, we create this world out of, things that we discover and then try and find connections between them. And it's more like that than having a very specific, like, heavy idea about color beforehand.
Had you seen each other since the Oscars? Or maybe you made a movie together?
Yeah. Could have. Have we seen each other since the Oscars?
We're about to make it.
Well, we're going to see each other, like, nonstop from after this.
Did we see each other through the Oscars?
I don't think
I don't remember.
We
did?
I don't think we have.
My publicist says that we did.
No.
Oh, no, she says we didn't.
She's checking her schedule. Let me check. No, you have not seen each other.
But now we're going to work on another movie together, Bugonia. It was just announced that you showed me.
Yeah, it's called Bugonia. It was just announced 2 minutes ago, so there we go.
Exciting.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been writing this for a long time. So it started from the one story, the first one, which I got inspired by reading Caligula by Camus, and I just...
Nice pronunciation.
Thank you. Albert Camus.
Oh, wow. You can do
Albert?
both.
Wait.
Yeah.
Yes. So I just started thinking about, control over other people's lives, one man's control over other people's lives, and I thought that it would be, interesting to explore something on a more personal level. How would that feel, like having someone be in total control of your life, and then even in the most minute detail? So then we started writing this. But then quickly we felt that we also wanted to experiment with form a little bit, and that's when the idea of making a triptych came about.
And you weren't always convinced on it being the same company of actors in all three stories. For a while, it was going to be different people in each story.
Yeah, but then this idea kept popping on in my head, and that's when we decided to separate the three stories, not see them in parallel as it was in the beginning, but separating them and showing them one after the other, so I could actually work with the same actors playing one different part in each story, and that kind of informed the writing as well. And so that happened over a long period of time, and in between we would make other projects, both myself and Anthimos. So I think also time allowed us to view the work from a different perspective and try new things, and yeah, it's one of these things that time is beneficial for a project.
What did you like about it?
I mean, well, first of all, I'll do anything with Yorgos, so that's the easy answer. But I loved the opportunity to get to work on something that he had written with Lanthimos, because the films that we had done before that, with the exception of Vlihi, the short film that we made, Bleat in English, were written, with Tony McNamara, and
We're based on other material,
or
either a real story or a
yeah.
novel.
And so it was just, the chance to finally kind of get to be in that version of Yorgos's sort of, because those were, before I met him, obviously those were the only films I had seen, were the ones that he and Lanthimos had written together. So that was just really exciting to me, and the idea of a triptych, kind of all of it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I imagine that you're drawn to some kind of dark sense of absurdity, and Yorgos and Nathan Fielder would seem to have some commonality.
They're very aligned.
You think so?
I think in many ways, yeah. I think they have they're very different, obviously, but I mean, you adore Nathan.
I love his stuff.
I know, and he loves you, and there's a singularity to each of them. That what they're creating isn't something anybody else could create. It comes from a very specific mind that is theirs and theirs alone, and the worlds they create around them are based on that kind of vision. And in that sense, I don't say this lightly, even though I know it's easy to use this word flippantly, but they're both geniuses. They are, because I think it's just an innate thing that can't really be taught or described. It's just a way of seeing society and people and this insane, and I think you're actually also both drawn to themes of why is the social structure like this? Why do we have these rules? How are we supposed to function within them? Told in very different ways, obviously.
I admire that you seem to be using your ability to help make things happen to do some pretty weird stuff.
Well, what a gift to have choice as an actor. If you are in, because I don't expect it to last forever, if you are in a time period where you can make choices, or people that you love and admire and respect are asking you to join them in these things. I mean, the common denominator is the things that I've been a part of are things that I want to watch. And that's the only gauge that I have, is I'm drawn to the filmmaker, the character and story, but also if it's not something that I would be like, I gotta go see this the day it comes out, then it's probably not the right fit for me. So this is, very in line with my personal sensibility, I guess. And we made this as fast as we could, because we were like, what the hell's gonna happen with Poor Things?
Yeah, it's so fascinating
Isn't
to
that
hear
funny?
people talk about it as Poor Things is like the conventional film that we made, and now we're like...
Every day after work.
I get a little bit irritated, but then I go like, you know what? No, it's great that people consider Poor Things like it's a normal thing. I mean, we couldn't get it made for 12 years. People were like freakingly afraid of it, but then we made it and people accepted it and enjoyed it, and then it's a normal thing. But that's kind of great.
Yeah.
That
I totally agree. It just was shocking to both of us, and truly every day after work, we would develop photos that he had taken on set that day. We would talk about it, and I was like, how was it? He watched the Russians. What do you think? He's like, this is a disaster. Every single day. I was like, that's what I thought. Okay, good. After Poor Things. This one, it was like free and happy, and like, everyone's going to love this. They're really going to get this one.
That's really funny. I didn't know that about Poor Things. I mean, I would have thought just when you were walking around those sets, you'd be like, this is going to be great.
We believed in it. We loved it. That's the only thing you can really ever know, is not what the audience reaction is going to be, but why you're doing it and why you're drawn to it. But I definitely think throughout and after, we're like, well, we like it, but yeah.
Yeah, it was like, let's make this movie quick because nobody's going to allow us to make another movie.
After they see Poor Things.
After they see Poor Things.
Truly.
We should have another
That was
film
a true
in the
conversation we had.
Do my nails, cut my hair, I'm a brand new bitch.
The dance I love. Is it one take? Was it one take?
Yeah, which take did you use?
It's like 2 or 3 takes that we did, but it's,
You just used one
we
of the
just used
takes.
one of the takes, yeah.
It was my first time getting to improvise dance, which was really a joy.
It was improvised.
Improvised.
Actually, it was improvised on the set of Poor Things.
It was. That's true.
And that's what I saw, and I want you to do this in Kinds of Kindness. So it was like not part of the scene of Poor Things. It was just like in downtime.
Like between setups.
Between setups that she would just put on this song and dance like crazy, and I'm like, we should film this for Poor Thing, for Kinds of Kindness. Sorry.
They blurred together.
Time.
I mean, were they bleeding together at times?
Only towards the end, like when we were in post-production for Poor Things, and that's how we decided to shoot this film. We were in post-production, and VFX was a long process, and it didn't require a lot of my time. Like it would take weeks maybe to see new things. I thought that it was a better use of my time to just, since this script was finished, that we should just go out and shoot this film. Apart from the fact that we wanted to do it before anyone saw Poor Things, shoot this film and then go back to totally finish Poor Things and then deal with this one. So it kind of overlapped at that stage of doing, a little bit of post-production on Poor Things. But other than that, no. And the fact that it was a script that we've been writing over many years, and in between we made Poor Things.
Since you've been talking about Emily so much, can I ask you about Jesse?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought he was so great in this. Really, it's a terrific company. I love
and
all
Emily
these
should
actors.
talk about Jesse.
Tell me, had you? I don't know if you had worked with him before.
No.
You hadn't, right? Yorgos?
No, I hadn't. No.
You had wanted to, though.
I always wanted
Talked
to.
about Jesse
Yeah, we
forever.
talked about Jesse forever. I think we thought about him for a couple of things, but he wasn't available. I'd never really met him until we met for this. But I always had him in mind because I think he's just basically one of the greatest, of his generation for sure. Like there's no question for me. So I always wanted to work with him, and it turned out really great. He's now part of the troupe. And as you'll read in the news, we're making another film with him.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
The next one is with Jesse again, so he's become like, family.
Yes, he's become part of the family. He's so amazing. I was so extremely excited to work with him, and I mostly interact with him in the movie. So it was, a huge gift to get to see, how he goes about it. He's also a really nice and interesting person, which is always a bonus when
Yeah.
someone's that talented, but they're also just lovely to be around. Yeah.
We vet people before we
Yes,
work with them.
that's
certainly.
a big
We need good
defining
people around.
factor.
Yeah, it's seriously. I mean,
Truly.
we don't want any assholes around. So we do try and make sure that people that we haven't worked before, we kind of have some kind of assurance that they're not, pricks. And Jesse turned out to be, of course, the opposite of that, and that's why we're working with him again.
Amen, baby.